He inherited 1 million at 34. 3 years later, I learned how easy it is to lose wealth. The letter arrived on a Tuesday morning. I almost threw it away. I thought it was another piece of junk mail from an insurance company or a credit card offer. The envelope was plain, no logos, no warning, just my name printed in the center. Inside was a letter from an attorney named Daniel Grayson. He was handling my grandmother's estate. My first thought was confusion. I hadn't spoken to my grandmother in almost 3 years, not because of some dramatic argument. There was no big fight, no angry goodbye. We simply stopped talking. Life got busy, pride got busy. Pride got involved, and eventually, silence became normal. The letter said she had left something for me. I assumed it was a few old family photos, maybe some furniture, something sentimental. I was completely wrong. 2 weeks later, I sat inside Grayson's office. It wasn't the kind of office I imagined wealthy people had. No luxury furniture, no expensive artwork, just a wooden desk, a filing cabinet, and a window facing a parking structure across the street. He opened a folder. Then he pushed a document toward me. Your grandmother created a trust several years ago. I looked at the paperwork. My name was there. Then I saw the number. After taxes, legal expenses, and estate costs. 983,400, almost $1 million. For a few seconds, I didn't react. I just stared, because numbers like that existed in conversations other people had. Not mine. I was 34 years old. I managed inventory for a regional distribution company. My salary was 68,000 a year. I had 11,000 in savings, about 29,000 in my retirement account, almost 19,000 in credit card debt, and $200 until my next paycheck. Then, suddenly, almost $1 million appeared in my life. The drive home felt strange. I didn't turn on music. I didn't call anyone. I just drove my old Honda Civic with the cracked dashboard and listened to the engine noise. I kept thinking about the same question. What happens now? Nobody teaches normal people how to handle sudden wealth. People teach you how to make money, how to save money, how to work harder, but nobody explains what happens when your financial reality changes overnight. So I made one rule. I would not make any major decisions for 60 days. I read that advice online. It seemed smart. It lasted 19 days. The first mistake was a Mercedes, a 2023 Mercedes GLC. It was used only 0 miles. The salesman told me it was a great value. The original owner had already taken the biggest depreciation hit. The price was 58,900. He negotiated it down to 54,200. That made me feel responsible. It wasn't buying the most expensive model. It wasn't buying a sports car. It convinced myself it was practical. My old car had problems. The air conditioning barely worked. The passenger window leaked when it rained. This wasn't luxury. This was an upgrade. At least that's what I told myself. I signed the papers. The strange thing was, I didn't feel excited. I felt like I had finally been given permission to buy things I had always denied myself. The account balance became 929. 200. Then my family found out. Not immediately, but money has a way of becoming visible. My mother called first. She didn't ask for money directly. She talked about stress, about bills, about the mortgage. Eventually, she admitted she was behind. She needed 22,000 to avoid foreclosure. She called it a loan. I knew my mother. I also knew she had never successfully repaid a loan in her life. But I didn't think about that. I thought, this is what money is for. I sent it. A few days later, my younger brother needed help. A lawsuit from a business idea. That failed. He owed 15,000. I paid that too. No contract, no repayment plan. Just family. The balance, 292. For the first time in my life, I felt wealthy. Then my lifestyle started changing, not dramatically. That's the dangerous part. People imagine losing money happens through one huge mistake. It usually doesn't. It happens through small decisions that feel reasonable. My apartment lease ended. I had been paying a month for years. It was small, old building, thin walls, bad parking. I found a nicer apartment, 2 bedrooms, underground, parking, laundry inside the unit, quartz countertops. The rent was 250. I could afford it. That sentence became my biggest financial warning sign. I can afford it. I didn't ask, is this helping my future? He only asked, can I pay for it? He signed it. Then came furniture, a new couch, a dining table, bedroom furniture, decorations. The apartment needed to match the lifestyle. Total, 14,800. The balance, 877,400. Then came the opportunities. Suddenly, people remembered me. A college friend I hadn't talked to in years reached out. He was building a technology startup. He had a professional presentation, market research, revenue projections, a serious business plan. He needed 40,000 before his next funding round. He called it a bridge investment. He promised it would convert into equity. Later. It sounded professional. So I invested. There was no fraud, no scam. The company simply never reached the next funding round. The business continued existing, but my money disappeared. The balance, 827,400. My spending habits changed too. I started paying for more things: restaurants, trips, hotels, group dinners. I became the person who said, "Don't worry, I've got it." At first it felt generous, then it became expected. Nobody forced me. That's the uncomfortable truth. I created the pattern myself. My monthly expenses went from around 200 to almost 80. No single purchase destroyed my money. The lifestyle itself became the expense. 14 months after receiving the inheritance, I finally checked everything. The balance shocked me. 740. I sat at my kitchen table reviewing statements. I tried to convince myself it was fine. I still have over 740. That thought made me feel safe. But it was actually the beginning of another mistake. Because having money left doesn't mean your decisions are good. It only means you haven't run out yet. My brother called next. He had a business idea, a food truck. He found a used truck for 28. Needed another 22 for equipment and permits. He wanted 50. This time I tried to be smarter. He negotiated. I asked for ownership. I received 30%. I thought, I'm not just giving him money, I'm investing. But there was no operating agreement, no lawyer, no LLC paperwork, just a handshake. 6 weeks later, the truck needed repairs. On zero. I paid another 80 because I had already invested. I wanted to protect my first investment. That is how people lose money. They keep throwing good money after bad money because admitting failure hurts. At month 16, I finally hired a financial advisor. I should have done it immediately, but I didn't know what I didn't know. The advisor recommended actively managed mutual funds. The fees were around 4%. At the time, I didn't understand why fees mattered. I invested 200. He also recommended a whole life insurance policy, another 18 annual premium. For the first time since receiving the inheritance, I felt responsible. I had professionals. I had a plan. Except I never asked enough questions. Then came real estate. A contact introduced me to a self-storage investment. 340 units. Growing demand, strong projections. The numbers looked impressive. 20% ownership. 120 investment. The presentation showed future returns above 14%. It looked like a smart alternative investment. I didn't verify the numbers. I didn't hire an attorney. I didn't review every detail. I trusted the person who introduced it. I transferred the money. The investment failed. The occupancy numbers were worse than expected. Expenses increased. The operator stopped communicating regularly. Every month, there was another explanation. Next quarter will improve. Market conditions are temporary. Things are almost turning around. Eventually, the property entered receivership. My expected 120 investment became almost worthless. Estimated recovery, a fraction of what I put in. The mutual funds dropped too. The market declined. My 200 became around 172. My advisor said, "This is normal volatility." He was right, but the 4% of fees continued regardless. That was the part I ignored. By the second year, reality arrived. The food truck closed. The Mercedes payment remained. The expensive apartment remained. The lifestyle remained, but the inheritance was disappearing. It calculated everything. My 983, 400 inheritance had become 130 cash. Around 172 in investments. Total, about 300, still a lot of money. But nowhere near where I started. I finally changed everything. I moved into a cheaper apartment. 650 a month. I sold most of the expensive furniture. The 14 furniture package sold for about 200. I traded the Mercedes. I lost money. But keeping it would have cost more. I paid off my remaining credit card debt. Then I rebuilt. Slowly. Today I am 37 years old. I have around 150 invested and saved. I still work my job. I still budget. I still think carefully before spending. The inheritance didn't disappear because I was careless. That's the hardest part to accept. Most of my decisions made sense at the time. Helping my family made sense. Investing in a friend's dream made sense. Upgrading my lifestyle made sense. Trying to grow money made sense. But wealth is not measured by intentions. Money only responds to decisions. My grandmother kept her money for decades. She lived simply. She never showed wealth. I used to think she was just old-fashioned. Now I understand something. Maybe she knew something I didn't. Money is not freedom by itself. Money is a tool, and a tool is only useful when you know how to control it. The biggest lesson wasn't that I lost 830. The biggest lesson was understanding how easily wealth can disappear while every individual decision feels reasonable. Getting money changed my life. Managing money changed who I became. And that was the education I paid almost $1 million to learn.